Well, hello, welcome to another Tim Talks, this time about how we rebuild our party. Well, we've had a devastating election result, we all know that. Where do we go from here? Well, I said the first thing that we need to do is accept the first fruits of a revival, which is the enormous increase in our new membership. Look, if getting on for 20,000 people will join the Liberal Democrats without even being asked, just think how many tens and tens and tens of thousands more would join us if we did. So the first thing we've got to do is get out there and ask people. We've seen in the 6 weeks since the election the fact the Tories are doing so many things which undermine the liberal values, such as defence of human rights, defence of housing for the poorest people in our society, defence of our personal private freedoms online. All those things under threat. There's a clear narrative there for the Liberal Democrats to grab and bring those people who are liberals in here and make them Liberal Democrats in practice. So I think we should aim, and I would aim as leader, to make sure we have a minimum of 100,000 members by the time of the next general election. And we would do that as part of building a party which becomes much more like a wider movement. Understanding and learning from the likes of 38 Degrees, from the Countryside Alliance, from our sister party in the Netherlands, D66, who suffered a crushing blow in 2007 for similar reasons to those which we have just gone through, and yet 7 years later topped the poll. We've got to learn from how they campaigned, how they got themselves out of a hole to the top of the polls. That's absolutely critical. But our rebirth has surely got to come from the grassroots up. And I fear that we have for too long seen local government and local council success as simply being a stepping stone on our way to winning a parliamentary seat. Well, of course that can be the case, but winning local government seats, becoming a councillor, becoming an elected mayor, actually gives you much more power than often being a member of parliament affords you. I think of Peter Thornton, my excellent council leader in South Lakeland. I often claim credit for, building these council houses in South Lakeland. Peter and the Lib Dem council team in South Lakeland really did that. I just helped them to win the elections to make them do so. So we've got to build up from the grassroots. And look, maybe you can't do what we do in Westmoreland and Lonsdale in all of your constituency. But you know what? You can do it in one ward. So I want to set up a new scheme called Pick a Ward and Win It. P-A-W-A-W-I. That's right, yeah, there you go. So pick a ward and win it. You pick your ward and you chuck the kitchen sink at it, and we will give you the materials, the inspiration, the ideas and the help to make sure you do that, working alongside ALDC. I also want to make sure that we as a party absolutely become the vanguard of new ideas in British politics, that do as Joe Grimmond did and be the party that audaciously, from a small position, thinks the big ideas, comes up with the big solutions. And so I come up with something we call the Festival of Ideas, a day with some structure, but not a lot, where you come along and you set the agenda, you decide what we talk about, and we go away, and that begins to form the basis of how we campaign going forward. I want us to be inclusive, and the Festival of Ideas is just one of those ways in which we would be inclusive. But as a party, we don't reflect, certainly not at the top of our party, the fact that we are a diverse country, the fact that we have no women in the House of Commons, the fact we haven't had an elected non-white person at a general election for getting on for a century now. These things are absolutely outrageous, so we need to change the way we operate by building in quotas and the way in which we look at how we select people to make sure we do reflect society. But also, as I said in my diversity video just the other week, we need to make sure the leader leads from the top. And if you've got a diary full of meetings where 8 or 9 of your 10 meetings with individuals today are with white blokes, you rip up your diary and you start again. You make sure that you have advisors, people you immerse yourself alongside who reflect the widest set of backgrounds, not just in terms of ethnicity and gender, but in terms of whether they're LGBT+, whether they're from faith backgrounds, whether they are also just from different social backgrounds, something that I keenly am aware of. But let's be professional. We've just been through an election where the bad guys won. I want the good guys to win, and too often the good guys are too nice to do things properly. I want us to win by organising sensibly. So one of the first things I will do as leader is I will move the leader's office out of Parliament into HQ to be alongside the membership, to make sure that I am an accessible and open leader and that we all work together as a party. If under Tim Farron's leadership there will be no cabal and there will be no bunker. I will be accessible and inclusive because everybody's talents matter. And I want you to know that if you are a new member or whether you're a member of many years standing, that your vitality to the party, it matters to me. Your value matters to me. I'll be honest with you, we do want you to deliver leaflets. I'm sorry, but we also want you for the other things that you can bring. If you've got professional expertise, management expertise, if you can coordinate volunteers, if you've got digital expertise, if you've got something to bring to the party that we're not using properly, we want to take advantage of the skills that you have and make sure that what you have and what you do with the Liberal Democrats is enjoyable. So I want our fight back to be inspiring, to be motivating, to be compelling, to be absolutely rooted in our principle, but I want it to be fun. These next few years I am not prepared to be miserable. I want us to be absolutely energetic, excited and enjoying what we're doing, and I will inject that into everything we do. And the final thing is this: the glue that holds all this together, the energy, the fuel that will make this machine work, is the idea that it's worthwhile. It's the inspiration that makes us do these things. So when we pick issues that some might think are kind of cold and esoteric, like defending human rights, let's make them human and real. And I think of Peter, a lad in his mid-20s, born in Nigeria, and a constituent of mine, who was with his foster parents in my constituency from the age of 5 or 6, and yet because of a cock-up with his visa a few years ago, was about to be sent back to a place he didn't know, and separated, ripped out of the family that he loved and who loved him, and away from that community that loved him too. Why was he allowed to stay here? Because of the Human Rights Act. We go out there and we defend the Human Rights Act, not so we can defend lawyers, bless them, but so we can defend Peters. There are Peters everywhere. Let's stand with them. Together we can rebuild our party.